everyone, and welcome to The Balancing Act. I'm Olga Villaverde.
And I'm Montel Williams.
September is International Sepsis Awareness Month, so stay tuned as we learn more about this deadly disease and what's on the horizon in terms of testing and treatment.
And on a lighter note, we have somebody very special, a legend in the kitchen.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about Ralph.
No muss, no fuss. I got Perdue's Fresh Cuts chicken to make pack-to-pan cooking perfection.
Wow. Plus, really important information about insurance.
Packed show.
The packed show.
The Balancing Act starts
right now.
Sepsis is recognized as a global health problem and is the leading cause of non-cardiac death in U.S. hospitals. In sepsis, harmful bacteria or other germs can trigger an uncontrolled immune response. The immune system goes into overdrive to fight infection, and the chemicals it releases into the blood trigger widespread inflammation, attacking healthy tissues and organs. Timely medical intervention is paramount.
So Mr. Hector came into the hospital with shoulder pain. He had had some previous shoulder work done. He was very short of breath, breathing about 30 times a minute. So he had a CT scan which showed that there's potentially an infection in the lung or a clot in the lung. It looked like his joint in that left shoulder was infected, and the suspicion was he had some bacteria in his blood which were then collecting on a valve of a heart and throwing off clots, basically floating cavities from infection. He first got intubated, which means having a breathing tube placed in his lungs to help ventilate his lungs. Then, because of the pressure of the ventilator, some of those cavities burst and air leaked out of his lung into his chest cavity.
With early recognition and aggressive antibiotic therapy, many people can recover from mild sepsis. However, approximately 1/3 of these patients go on to develop a severe and highly fatal form referred to as septic shock.
Shock happens sometimes pretty rapidly, and he did go into multi-organ failure, which included his kidneys not making any urine and he needed dialysis. His heart wasn't functioning well, which needed blood pressure medicines, and that's why we needed to put him on something more than we were already able to do. Standard of care alone wasn't going to cut it for him. So we threw the kitchen sink at him and we were hoping something would stick.
Worse still, there is a less common form of septic shock called endotoxic septic shock that is even more lethal and difficult to treat. It affects more than 120,000 Americans each year, and no specific therapy is available. This fact continues to attract the attention of researchers and clinicians worldwide, many with a shared determination to combat this condition head-on.
As we started getting better in the last 2 decades of giving good resuscitation therapy to our patients who presented to the emergency department or got sick in the hospital, and we were able to give them early antibiotics, which is key, early IV fluid resuscitation, which is key, we started making an improvement in mortality. However, there is a group of patients that didn't respond to this. They start developing organ failure regardless of what we are able to offer them. And so more and more research started looking at what type of chemicals in the blood or what type of biomarkers could be driving this. And we've identified over the last decade or so that this subgroup of patients have a high level of endotoxin.
Endotoxin is released when bacteria die or cross the gastrointestinal barrier and end up in the bloodstream. Treatments do not address the root cause of the condition and are focused on supportive measures. Although endotoxic shock is less common, it is by far the deadliest.
Historically, if we got stuck, we would continue to support the organs, but oftentimes we would have to approach the family and say, we've done everything that we can, and despite all the advances in technology and antibiotics and antimicrobials and organ support, these patients do succumb to their death. And it is frustrating and horrible.
Dr. John Kellum, a leading critical care specialist at UPMC for over 30 years, and now the Chief Medical Officer at Spectral Medical, has been at the forefront of this evolving research.
When we see patients who have this more malignant form of septic shock, they have organ failures, their platelets fall, they develop coagulopathy, we suspect that it may be due to endotoxemia. The problem is that other conditions and other molecules can cause a condition that looks exactly the same. Now, it gets better quickly, but you don't want to be treating a patient and then saying, well, I wish I would have done something 12 hours ago or 24 hours ago because they're not getting better. You want to know that this is a patient who's not going to get better. So you really need a test. You really need an assay. You can't just identify them clinically.
So one of our observations in the intensive care unit was these patients did not all have bacteria that were alive or viable at the time they were so sick. So we felt there were other drivers of this sepsis cascade, and we were particularly interested in the role of endotoxin. So we felt it was very important to develop an assay that would be useful in the intensive care unit to rapidly identify those patients in septic shock who had high levels of endotoxin in their bloodstream. We then developed an assay that could be done in whole blood and give you the answer within 30 minutes.
The Endotoxin Activity Assay EAA, which is available for clinical use, makes it possible to measure the ability of endotoxin to activate the immune system and thus identify patients with endotoxic septic shock.
This test was actually developed many years ago. It's already FDA approved, but it never really found a home in clinical practice for sepsis because in the United States, at least, there's no treatment. Turns out that the Japanese had invented a treatment for endotoxemic septic shock more than 30 years ago. It's the most common form of endotoxin removal is to use this polymyxin B, which is an old antibiotic that's attached to a dialysis-like cartridge, and blood is just perfused through the device and endotoxin is removed. The problem is that in the United States and in other countries that don't have this available, the only way it's going to get regulatory approval is to show that it actually works.
Researchers, physicians, investigators, and experts from more than 20 U.S. hospitals and universities are meeting in Charlotte, North Carolina to discuss a groundbreaking clinical trial already in progress. The Tigris trial is a randomized control study of the use of the PMX cartridge versus standard of care for patients with septic shock and endotoxemia.
There's been a lot of research in endotoxin over decades, but the approach to identifying this and this marker now is something that can be done at the bedside, something that's very easily accessible, and treatment, rather than using other chemicals or medications to block endotoxin, we can now actually remove it from the blood.
Spectral's vision is to provide a personalized approach to patients with sepsis that will enable vastly improved outcomes from endotoxic septic shock by combining a targeted diagnostic test and a novel therapy.
What we have found with our assay in combination with this therapy is there is a particular group of patients that responds very well to endotoxin removal. So we are focusing on that group of patients that has a treatable amount of endotoxin in their bloodstream and looking at the effects of our therapeutic intervention.
My site was the #1 enrolling site for a previous trial. So sepsis is huge for us. When we see someone that really doesn't look like they're going to make it and we can offer them just one more piece for survival, and then when you have survival, it's fantastic. Feels like a win.
This therapy offers new hope, new promise for a subset of patients who really have an almost, a lethal diagnosis at this point.
He was certainly sick enough for the trial. And he would have died that day if he had not done everything we could. They elected to have the trial for hemoperfusion on a compassionate basis. And within a week of the hemoperfusion, he was off the ventilator, and the next week he went home.
I think people are leaving here today with hope that the physicians can in fact make a difference in the outcome of these patients and save lives.
As we've seen and heard today, there is optimism for improved outcomes and a renewed determination to win the battle against endotoxic septic shock. And if you ask this group, the outlook is brighter.
I think it's amazing that all the individuals here, the team, you guys are the ones who are going to get this across the line. And not just do something good, but ultimately do something great.
For more information on the subject discussed today, visit spectraldx.com. And as always, you can go to our website, thebalancingact.com.
It's a staple in almost every household, including mine.
Indeed.
Hello. I'm always looking for quick and easy meal ideas, and chicken, woo! It's my family favorite.
And speaking of family, and speaking of chicken, I got Chris PERDUE here. Now, if you don't know, I don't know where you've been for living your whole life right here, but he's a fourth-generation king of all things chicken and poultry. He's been providing quality chicken to America and beyond for more than 100 years, sir. I am telling you, I am totally 1,000% enamored by you and everything your family's done for the world.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, what a love fest today.
I'm telling you, I'm serious. You can't hide it, baby. It's real.
It is, and you know, the family legacy worldwide. Everyone knows PERDUE. Hello, it started in 1920, and I believe in a family farm somewhere in Maryland?
That's right.
Do I have my history right?
Yeah. We were founded just over 100 years ago in Salisbury, Maryland, and we've got 5 generations of family members who've worked in the company, and we're just thrilled to be here and sharing some of our new products with you here today.
Man, all the prep work, it's always such a pain, right?
No, they make it easy.
You got Fresh Cuts, man. Tell me all about Fresh Cuts. This is what I've been looking for my whole life. What's it all about?
Yeah, so Fresh Cuts are designed to save everyone time. I mean, I know in our house we have 3 kids, 3 and under, and we don't have any time to cook dinner. So we've taken all the prep work out, saved you all the time. It's pre-cut, pre-diced. We have strips, diced, cutlets, and thin sliced that you can throw right into the pan. No fuss, no muss. No cutting board, no knives.
And look at this. So Ralph is putting pepper and marinating inside, right
in the pan. So easy.
There's no touching, there's no prepping, there's no cleaning, there's no messiness. It's done.
Oh yeah, it's super easy. You can spend all of your time on the other ingredients and making the meal just delicious.
And I believe that you call this pack the pan, right? That's what the story is. Watch this. Yeah. So I'm gonna go from the pack right over here. I just seasoned it. Into the pan.
This is so smart.
Away we go, done. Throw this in the sink. My hands are still clean. I can go over here. I stopped by the salad bar on my way over. I picked up all the rest of the ingredients. I got ginger, garlic. This is orange chicken, right? But that's the great thing about the product. But I've made so many other dishes. I've got butter chicken, basmati rice, the cucumber rayetta, so good. Olga, right in front of you. It's a game day. What do I got there? Chicken ranch with bacon dip.
So you really have done all the work for us.
We try to think of every way that someone would want to use chicken in a meal, cooking on their stove, in a pan, and we've got every single option out there for you to save time.
2 things I want to talk about. Number 1 is time, right?
Yeah.
15 minutes to do these meals, so easy. And number 2, I know it's important for you, your family, the quality control, and I think that really means a lot.
Yeah, for over 100 years, we think we've learned a thing or two about how to make really excellent quality chicken, and we take a lot of pride in having full control of that process, from the fields where we grow corn and beans to feed our chickens, to the hatcheries, to our harvest facilities, all the way through. We have full control of that process, which leads to really healthy animals. We don't have to use antibiotics ever in the lifetime of our animals, and we just think it makes a really fantastic product.
Great stuff.
That's amazing. The point that antibiotics, and that, it's such a buzzword you know, when people goes in one ear and out the other, but really it's a commitment to excellence that you're really standing behind, which is, you know, what you get into the chicken is what's important to what we're going to eat, right? So the whole machine, right? What you are, what you eat, you stand behind
exactly.
it.
I mean, you shouldn't have to give animals antibiotics to keep them healthy, you know, in order to make food. Like, they should be able to naturally just live a happy, healthy life.
And Chris, you have a huge portfolio as well?
Yeah, we've got a ton of different brands. We sell beef and pork and turkey and lamb across brands like Nyman Ranch and Coleman Natural and a whole variety of stuff. But, you know, chicken's really the hero of our brand, the thing that we've been doing for the longest amount of time that we think is, you know, got phenomenal quality.
You know, and by the way, quietly, those other brands that he just mentioned are the top tier of everything that's in the industry. So continue fantasticness for you and your family. The legacy that you got brought forth, the legacy that will continue in other generations. I'm a big fan. I know Olga can't stop talking about it right now. In fact, you know, she wore her marigold dress as an homage to all things
to all
chicken.
of our yellow chickens.
And I love everything. I have to just read this real quick. You know, 100% vegetarian, fed, no animal byproducts, raised, cage-free, and no hormones or steroids. I mean, come on, you're getting a great chicken that's good for you. I want to know more. Where can our viewers get this?
So we sell our fresh cuts in all of your local grocery stores, online in places like Walmart, Sam's Club. You can buy it directly from us at PerdueFarms.com, and we have all the information you could ever want about these products at Perdue.com.
Love it. And you have been busy and stirring it. I need to eat it.
You know, the good thing is I'm just standing over here really making it look like I'm busy, right? Again, they did all the hard work for me, all this. I'm going to slide this. I'm going to remind you, you know, for more information and this recipe, as well as a bunch of other great Perdue recipes, you can always visit thebalancingact.com. I'd like you to grab a fork over there here.
Thank you, sir.
A fork for you. And I'd like to remind everybody, this has been a quick bite. I'm so happy to let you know, but chew slowly, baby. All right.
Oh my gosh. Best chicken ever. Healthcare, it's usually one of the largest expenses for retirees. Well, today, Kelly Rayburn from Wellabe is back with us to explain what Medicare supplement insurance is. Good to see you again.
Thank you, you too.
All right, so we need to talk today about Medicare supplement insurance. It's often confusing. It's a lot to cover, but we're going to try a little bit and give some tips for our viewers. Go for it.
Right, yeah. So when people age in or they turn 65, they need to go on a Medicare plan, right? And the government provides A and B. And Medicare supplement is known as a Medigap plan that helps cover the holes or the potential gaps that are inside of those Medicare plans. It helps cover the deductibles and the copays.
Simple enough. So what about the different plans related to Medicare supplement insurance? Because then it starts getting, like, all these letters come in.
Oh, mail for days.
It's like the alphabet soup.
Absolutely, it's mail for days. So the government provides Part A, Part B, that's your hospital and your doctor, and then a Medicare supplement plan is all the letters that fall after that, and those can go anywhere between A to N.
It's so confusing sometimes.
It is, yes. And plans really are designed specifically for and around the deductibles and copays. So there could be plan specifics for a plan F, there's plan specifics for a G, and also N plans, things like that. And then there's Medicare Advantage. You can throw that into the mix. That's a zero premium plan that is provided, and it has high maximum out-of-pocket costs. So there's no premium that's associated, but all the costs are out of pocket.
So one size doesn't fit all for everyone,
Absolutely
is that
not.
true?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
And I understand there's a specific enrollment window to sign up for these plans?
So there is for Medicare Advantage. It's called annual enrollment period, and that's October the 15th through December the 7th. But for Medicare Supplement, they can be replaced or purchased at any time during the year. There's no window, and they're guaranteed renewable, where Medicare Advantage is not.
Something I always think it's important to talk about is like you said, October 15th to December 7th. Once you lock in that plan, you can't really do much changes until it opens again, correct?
That's correct.
All right. For anyone out there that says, gosh, this is a lot to take in, you know, when they reach out to Wellabe, are there people out there that take the time to help explain all of this?
Absolutely. There's thousands of agents that are in the field. Some people probably already have an agent that they're working with. I would highly suggest talking to that agent, or they can reach us at wellabe.com.
Great stuff. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Absolutely.
And if you'd like more information, like Kelly said, to learn about all of these plan options, wellabe.com, or go to our website, another easy one, thebalancingact.com.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Remember to head to our Facebook page, like us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and visit thebalancingact.com to enter our latest sweepstake or giveaway.
Because like a broken record, I always say, you might just win something. Stay safe, love that family, viewers, and we'll see you next time.